We are going to design a bed and some pillows and a bed sheet and make a scene. So I am going to use the default cube. This is the default cube. So select this one and press S. We want to scale it in the Z direction. Press S and then Z to scale it in the Z direction and make the thickness like that. So if you check the resize, I make the Z direction 0.206. And now select this cube, select S, press S, and then we want to give it a length in the X direction, then S and X, so we can scale it in the X direction and make it like that. And here you can check, I scale it the X direction 4.709, and then select this one S, and then we want to scale it in the Y direction. Press Y to scale it in the Y direction, so we can give it a width. So according to you, you can set these values. For me, I think this is good. And here you can see I expand the the Y to 3.043. Okay. So here we have the top space of the bed. So select this one, and here I am going to apply the scale because we change the scale. So Control A and apply the scale. So when we use the modifier, it will not affect it. So it has the uniform dimensions. Okay, now select this one and go to the edit mode. So how we can go to the edit mode? Press tab, and here we are in the edit mode. Now make sure you are in the face selection, going here select mode, and make sure face selection mode, or you can also activate it by pressing 3 on your keyboard and select this face. Then we are going to press 1. So 1. So we have to select this face on the other side. So select this face and press 1 on your numpad. This one is on your numpad. Okay. And here we are going to use this spin tool. So basically this spin tool is going to revolve around this geometry, this face. And for the spin tool, we have to change the 3D cursor at this position at here, which is like a collinear, you can say. If you know the meaning of the collinear, something which is actually facing this face. So at this point is good. So in front of this edge, we can say, okay. And here we are going to press this pen tool and just click on this plus sign to activate this tool. So I click it, now it's activated, but you can see here we have the spin properties window. So here x00 y00 and z is 1. So basically we have to revolve this one in that direction like that. So like that. Okay. So select the spin tool, press here. No, it's revolving around the z axis. So I am going to make the z 0, and here we want to change it around the y axis. So when you make the select the y axis and type 1, it will be revolve around the y axis. So we want that in that direction. Here you can also see a wheel. So by using that wheel, we can decrease it how much we want this spin. So here you can see if I am changing it, I am also changing the angle. So for that angle, I am going to type 90. So it will revolve like that. So going here and ending at this position, making a arc or a circular shape. And here we have the steps which will add the geometry or the loops. So I am going to make it like 8. So it's good. Okay. Next, I am going to add a loop here. So Control R, and I am going to add a loop and make it like that. So now go to the face selection and select this face and E to extrude it in the Z direction and make it like that. So here for the length, this face and this face, we want it to facing each other and lying on the same plane. And so both of these are flat. So when we put it in a room, so one side and the other side are not above each other. So to make them flat on a same plane, or we can say same surface, we have to scale it on the Z direction. So S and then Z, and we want it uh, 0. So now these two become flat, and basically we selected Z because we wanted to have, this is the plane, so this is the Z, so this become perpendicular. Okay, so these two faces as to scale in Z direction and press 0, so these two become flat. Okay, next I am going to select this face, E to extrude it like that, and then select this face and E to extrude it like that. Or we can also G and X to make it like that, then select this face, E to extrude it in that direction and make it like that. Okay, so here if you want to do some designing, you can do that. For me, I'm going to make it like that. Okay, then press tab to go to the object mode. Now we can select this as to scale and then scale it in Y direction. So increase its width like that. So it's looking good. Okay, now I am going to press Shift A and we are going to basically add the cube here and G to move it in the Z direction like that, S to scale and scale it in the X direction like that, increase its thickness as to scale in the Z direction and make it like that, then press 7 to go to the top view and Shift Z so we can see it, and G to move it at this position, at this position, S to scale it in the X direction and G to move it and place it here. Okay, then S to scale it and scale it in Y direction, press Y like that, Shift Z and then G to move and move it in the Z direction so it's basically lying on the top surface. So G and X like that. Okay, now to make it perfectly with this face is touching with this face, so G to move in the X direction and like that. Okay, and we can also control A, apply the scale, press tab and face selection mode, select this face and G to move and move it in the Y direction and make it something like that. Okay, so this is it. Then select this one, go to modifier and here we are going to apply a bevel modifier, and for the segments I am going to decrease it. So for the bevel it will make the sharp corner rounds, and select this one, shade smooth, select this one and shade smooth and auto smooth for it. Okay, and I'm also going to adjust the this length, so select it, press tab to go to the edit mode, G and Z, make it like that. Okay, then I'm going to select Shift A and we are going to, so select this one and we want to make change the cursor at the origin of this object and press Shift S, and here we want cursor to selected or selection to cursor. These two options we want cursor to selected, so it will change the cursor at here. Shift A and we are going to add a plane and G to move and move it in the Z direction like that, then S to scale and scale it like that. Press 7 to go to the top view, Shift Z so you can see it in the wireframe, G and X and S and X like that, and then G and X to move it like that. And here we want it to scale it in the Y direction, S to scale and press Y like that and Shift Z. So basically for this plane we want to make it a bed sheet. So I'm going to go to the outline properties, change its name, bed sheet. Okay, so we are going to use the cloth for it, cloth physics. So select this one, this plane, and then Control A, and we are going to add the scale. And we go to the object edit mode, press the tab, and here we are going to add some edge loops. So Control R to add a edge loop here, Control R and add two edge loops here at this position. We are using the Control R, then left click, place it in its initial position, and press A to select everything which are in the edit mode, and right click and subdivide. Then again right click and subdivide. You can do it manually, or here under the subdivision properties you can also increase its value. Okay, we are good. Press tab to go to the object mode. Now select this plane, which is basically the bed sheet. Go to the physics properties, and here we want to make it a cloth. So select cloth. We are going to not change these properties. We are going to make it uh, keep it as it is, the default value. Just go to the collision, and we want to increase the steps. And for the self collision, we want to decrease its distance, so 0.005. And then go to the field properties. This is very important, and decrease the gravity to. No, we are not going to decrease the gravity. We are going to place the gravity, and select this one and make it collision object, and this one also a collision object. And here for this one we are going to change this friction to 20, and for this the thickness we are going to decrease it. Okay, now select this one, go to the physics properties, make sure everything is correct. So make sure the self collision you decrease this distance. Now if we press space bar, it will run the simulation, and you can see the effect of this simulation. Okay, so basically we needed to again subdivide it and make it smaller in the y direction, S and Y to make it smaller. That's good. And Control A, apply the scale. Go to the edit mode by pressing the tab. Press A to select everything, and then again subdivide it. And press tab. And now check the simulation. Make sure this is on the frame 1. So it will be slower, but will give the good result. So at this position, we can see it's good. Shade smooth, and basically press 7 to go to the top view, and G to move it in the X direction and make it at this point. Okay, and select this plane, go to the physics properties, and for the self collision distance I am going to 0.001. And now again run the simulation and see the effect. So the bed sheet at this position is looking good. I'm going to shade smooth it, apply the physics, and here I am going to apply the subdivision modifier to add the geometry and make it look good. It's good. Also apply this modifier. Okay, now at this point we have to make some pillows. So same way, Shift A, add a plane, G to move it in the Z direction, press Z, R to rotate it, and we want to rotate it around the Y, R, Y, and press 90. Okay, and here we have this. So S to scale and scale it in Y direction, and like that. Then S to scale and scale it in Z direction a little bit, like that. And here we are going to again apply the physics to make the pillow. So select this one, Control A to apply the scale, then go to the edit mode by pressing the tab, and here subdivide it. So increase it like that, and here I'm going to press E to extrude it in this direction, just a little bit value like that, and then we are going to select these edges, this complete loop of the edges, and also the complete loop of the edges of the other side. So select this one, Alt, select this one, press Shift, rotate it. Make sure you are in the vertex selection mode. So we selected uh, every loop, every vertex or the edge, and now we want to scale it in the x direction. So S to scale it in the x direction and make it like that. Basically, this scale I would make it 0. So they are merged with each other. Now here you see everything is selected, and then press here M to merge it by the distance. So we have the shape like that. Okay, press A to select everything, and again subdivide and tab. Control A to apply the scale. Okay, now select this one. Select this one. Go to the physics properties and add the cloth, and go to the frame one. Okay, so select this one. We added the cloth physics, and go to the self collision. Make it 0.001, and also go to the field weights, and this gravity make it 0, and for the pressure also check it, and for the pressure I'm going to make it 5. Let's see the effect, and now run the animation. So at this point this pillow is looking good. I'm going to select this one, shift D to do, so go to select this one, shift D to duplicate it, and then press Y and place it here, and now run the simulation, and you can see we have two pillows here. So select this one, go to modifier, and we are going to apply the cloth modifier here for this one, and then shade smooth, and for this one I am going to also apply it for it. Okay, now we have two pillows here. I'm going to press 3, 1, select this one, G to move and place it at this position, also G to move and place it at this position. So G to move in the y direction like that, G to move in the y direction like that, R to rotate around the Y, then press Y and like that, and R to rotate and then Y and like that. So basically we have two pillows. We can also shift D to duplicate it, and then G to move it in the X direction here, and S to scale it to make it smaller, G to move it and in the X direction like that, and also shift D to duplicate this one, G to move and move it in the X direction like that, and here we are going to use the R, and then Y to rotate it in the Y direction, make it like that, and G to move in the Z direction and place it here. Okay, then I'm going to press Shift A, add a plane, and I'm going to Basically delete this plane, shift A, and I'm going to add a cube as to scale it, make it bigger like that, and then control A, apply the scale for this cube, press tab, go to the edit mode, press 3, so you're in the face selection mode, select this face, and this face, and X to uh, delete these faces. Okay, so now we are going to press tab to go to the object mode, G to move and in the Z direction, and like that. So this is just touching this bed, G and Z, like that. And press tab to go to the edit mode, 2 to select this edge and then G, and then move move it in the X direction like that, and also select this face, this edge, shift to select this edge, and G to move it in the Y direction like that. So we have a bed scene here, and select this plane, and G, press 7 to go to the top view, select this one, G to move it like that, and then I'm going to select this cube, or to rotate it around the Z, and like that. Okay, so for this view, we are going to use this view. So Control Alt 0 and G2 like that. Control Alt 0 and then press N and go to view and lock this camera to view, so we can make it like that. Select this camera, go to camera properties, change the focal length like that, and this is our scene. Press N, move your cursor here and right click and vertical split, place it like that, and this side, and now go to the render engine. We are going to make it cycle for the GPU, and go to the properties and render engine, render region, and select crop to render. So control and B, so we only select this area which we want to render. Okay, now then at this, in this section, in this view, press C and render, go to render, and here we have our scene like that. So basically we are going to, for this slide, G, and move it here at this position, then G, shift D to duplicate it and place it like that. So basically we are making lights in the room, then select these two, shift D to duplicate it and place it like that, then select this one, shift D like that, and then shift D. So basically we have a room which have a lot of lights. Okay, now select this, select this bed. I am going to add a material for it. So this one, new material, this is bed, and we are going to changing its color like that. Selecting these two, select this one. Okay, select this sheet and add a new material. And for this material too, it's for bed sheet. and we are going to use the go to shading, and for this material we are going to add a shift D, add a texture. We are shift A, go to texture, Verneuil, Verneuil texture. So my pronunciation is correct, maybe. Then again shift A, we are going to add a bump like that, and for the going to place the distance to the height, and this one normal to the normal of the principal shader like that. So we have some bumps which are very large. We're going to make a material for this bed sheet. Then select this Voronoi texture if you are activated the uh, node wrangler in the add-on node, and if this node wrangler is activated, then select this Voronoi texture and Control and T, so it will add the texture coordinate and the mapping coordinate. And here for this vector, we want this vector to go to this. So basically this, we go to the object, vector to object to vector. And here you can see the scale is very large. Scale, we have to increase this scale like that. It looks good. And we can also change its position like that. And here we can change the base color, black. Black is good. So it's very large. For the point, we are going to make it texture, vector. Like that, it's good. Okay, so this one is good. Next, select this one and go to material. So for this one, I'm going to use the bed sheet, and we are going to make a duplicate of it. This one is for pillow. We're just changing the color. So we are going to make it remove it, select this one and select for pillow. Sorry, we have to change this base color. Okay, now render image, and so these just move them, use the G and move them below. Also we have this shading issue because we have the lights. You can also change the setting to make it good view, good scene, and also for these corners, these are shop corners. We can also change them to look around corner. So for now, I am going to end this. So if you did not subscribe, please subscribe it.